And it's showtime. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Teresa Conroy-Roth, and you are watching the Lightning Leadership Series. This happens to be Series 2, so I'm super excited to launch the series again. With me is Charlotte Westerhaus-Renfrow, one of my favorite people on the planet. Not only does she have a law degree, she has a master's degree, and she's faculty chair at IU Kelley School of Business. Welcome, Charlotte.
Thanks, Teresa. It's so good to be here.
Oh my goodness, so excited to have you. We've known each other for a really long time and have just, every time we connect, I come out a better person. And so I'm delighted to have you on the show. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
So let's start with the zap moment. I think I told you a little bit earlier, my first grade teacher called me out on my zap moment, and a friend of mine from church said, "Hey, it's called Lightning Leadership. Why don't you have a zap moment? When did you first know that you became a leader?" So I'm going to ask you that. When did you first know? What was your zap moment?
Well, I think I want to be like you. My zap moment came when I was quite young,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. I've had outstanding opportunities. I've been a president of a small university, a vice president at a national association, and you would think, Teresa, that was a zap moment. But for me, it was just I had the right skill sets, and I felt it fill in the blanks. What
Yeah.
really hit me is when it's not just I received this recognition. I'm one of 25 professors that was recognized back in 2019 or the start of 2020 as an Indiana University bicentennial professor.
How cool.
And hundreds and thousands of extremely competent professors in Indiana University. This is at all of our regional campuses here at IUI, Indianapolis, Bloomington. And so it blew me away that I got this recognition, but I couldn't figure out why. I didn't know why. And it took me a year to find out that it was a group of my students. And innocently, one sent me an email and said, "Professor Westerhaus-Renfrow, we want to nominate you for an award. Send us your vita." I just instantaneously sent it. I didn't flesh it out. I didn't look for references. I figured, I was busy. I just sent it to the student. And she took a group of students and wrote such a moving nomination for me. And this award means so much to me. This recognition of being a leader in the classroom, that I was recognized, and it came from students.
Love it.
You know, not my peers, which is great. You know, you're always trying to impress your peers and all that, and look great in their eyes for great reasons. But these students submitted this nomination, and then for a year I couldn't remember who did it. I was like, "Who did this for me?" No one would tell me. And then one day I did a search in my emails and put in this information, and the student Victoria, her name popped up. And I took her to lunch, and she told me how I changed her life from being an honors business student to now she's pursuing, and she's now a doctor. And how I helped her. And she said a ton of students find their it, what they really wanted to be, what they could be, where they're actualized. And she said that you turned the light on for me. I could have been an accountant. I could have gone in finance, but I want to be a doctor. And that's what my zap moment was.
Awesome.
Leadership is about affecting human behavior.
Yes.
And that recognition and knowing that it came from students.
Yeah.
I will never, ever forget that. And having her that lunch and a cup of coffee and seeing that she's now a doctor and she's fulfilling her life. And she's told me there's so many students that I may never hear from that the same thing is happening to them. So thank you for Teresa. That is very exciting to me. And I'm very honored, very honored.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So we wanted to talk about today executive presence. What is it? How do you get it? How do you improve? Right? Tell me a little bit of your thoughts on that, because I think it's so critical in so many ways, and you see all sorts of people throughout your career, right, that might have it together, but they don't have that.
And you know it when you see it, and you know it when it's not. So it is executive presence. It's a blending of individuals' temperament and the competencies. You have to have that, and the skill set. And when you get them all combined just right, all right, they give off the right signals. I want to say also what it's not.
Okay.
Right? Executive presence is not charisma. It's not charisma. It's not Mr. and Miss Congeniality. That's not executive presence. Executive presence, and this is what I get excited about because I can actually teach it. It's
Yeah.
a strategy. And I see it like a three-legged stool, executive
Okay.
presence, right? There's the individual style. And that is, well, go into that style. And there's the other leg is substance. And then there's character. So executive presence is when someone walks into the room and you know they have it. And it can be something that's physical.
Yes. A
Person's
swagger.
A smile, your eyes, your eyebrows,
Yeah.
it's eye contact, it's the way you hold your head, it's your confidence in your stance, it is a style.
Okay.
And this is the strategy. I don't want to admit this, but there are some days when I don't want to go to a networking event. You want to go home. I put your feet up. But I know when I walk into a room or someone with executive presence, you got to hit that mark.
You do.
And you really have to know that you are on. The late Miles Brand told me that if I accepted the opportunity to be a vice president of diversity and inclusion at the NCAA, that no matter where I was in public, remember the eyes are on you.
Yeah.
And you have to relish that. So it is a certain style. It can be your own style. It can be your own way of doing things. My style now is I'm going to wear glasses. and I think this, type of funky glasses I have sets me off. Or
Sure.
It can be your voice, how you speak to people, how you connect with your voice. And this takes a little bit of practice on how you actually speak. And it maybe need some feedback from others, but creating your own style so that you have executive presence that's unique to you. Now, the other leg is your substance. Okay, you got to have substance, and substance to me is attitude. And if I could, Teresa, really quickly, I'll talk about attitude in the context of you and I being women.
Yes.
Attitude being from like meek to being aggressive.
Sassy.
Now, sassy's good.
I'll take sassy.
I'll take sassy any day. Sassy's good. But I've heard some women say, I was sassy, I thought, but I came across, and here's something I learned from another female executive, this sharp elbows. Maybe you were too strong and that sort of thing. And so I truly believe that there is a continuum from being meek to being overly aggressive, but you have to put that within your style. Sure. And you also have to accept that your substance is a bit of going into what your character. So substance is that you have to be for real. Whatever you say you're going to bring to the table, you bring it to the table. Yeah. So if you have excellence, you bring excellence. And there's nothing wrong with knowing that. One other little caveat. I'll talk specifically to women. I'll say to a female, you did an excellent job. Oh, really? I don't think I did so well. Or I say, you know what? You look stunning in that dress. And they'll say, this whole thing, I've been having it for years. That's the substance is saying, thank you so very much.
Yeah.
Right? Now,
I have to ask, is that a Midwestern thing? Because it's so funny because somebody will say, hey, I love that dress. And I'll be like, oh, great. I got it at Kohl's. It was 30% off, right? And you automatically just, rather than taking the compliment, oh, you can get one too. Here's where you get it at, right? I don't know. I've always struggled with that.
Well, I can tell you, if you want to be a part of this crowd, that I have shared this little caveat with the groups of women all over the country, and it has nothing to do with geographic.
Okay.
It's a social expectation that we have a lot of humility, and we're humble, and we give credit and diminish our ability because we don't want to come across as being brash.
Maybe, yeah, I think so.
Men in the Midwest don't have any problems. Men will tell you, hey, that's a great speech. They'll say, yeah, I worked all day on that. I think it went really well. And they're from the Midwest.
Yeah.
So
love it.
Substance is, if you say you're going to bring it, bring it. And you can do it in a way that actually gives credit to your abilities.
Love it.
Okay. The other thing is character. And character, once again, it has a lot to do with confidence. Character is that people can trust you. You basically not only talk the talk, you walk the walk, and many times you run the run. And you give that sense basically on your actually when you walk in the room, you have character. Basically, you're willing to speak and smile to any or everyone,
Yes.
including I do this quite a bit, and I like doing it when I go to an event.
Yeah.
Whoever serves me, I want to know their name.
Yeah.
I want to give them compliments. I want to tell them good job. I want to thank them on the way out, just as if they were the CEO of a major corporation at my
Yeah.
table. That's character, treating folks with respect across the board, and people will know you for having that kind of character, your honesty, your integrity, and also respect for yourself and others. Those three put together are basically a combination of competencies and skill sets that can be developed and enhanced. And this is why executive president is so important. Once again, it's not about being about charisma. It goes a lot to a leader.
It's the what?
Leadership.
Leadership. Yeah.
Being a leader.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. Executive presence goes hand in hand with leadership because executive presence influences. And a leader is any person, regardless of status, power, who influences individuals or groups, right?
Sure.
Then helps them create goals and objectives that they share, and then guides them, all right, to achieve those goals in order for these folks to be more effective. So anyone has high executive presence has an ability to influence individuals, to help them, to
Yes.
guide them. And that's what they want from you when they get a sense of this presence. They just don't want to admire it from afar.
Yeah.
That might be charisma. But executive presence is this is a person who has influence, maybe influence me or others, and they can help me or others achieve their goals. I don't think influencers, really good influencers, can do what they do without having executive presence. All right. And that is so very important. It is a product of some of the competencies I talked to you about, all the various skill sets. And it can, since the competency can be learned, practiced, and enhanced. And I will say this, executive presence has to be genuine. You really would have to be genuine and wanting to be an influencer. And maybe you don't want to be an influencer, and that's okay. But I bet you, even if you don't want to be an influencer,
yeah, social media and influencers have given us all a bad rap. That's not what we're talking about today.
No, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. But I do think people do want to be influenced in a way that will help them be better and do the right thing.
I think so too.
There are lots of influence out there to get you to do this, to do that. That's not long lasting. Executive presence is basically combined with all of these aspects. It gives off the right signals. All right. The substantive signals, the signals people can trust. And I'm sure, Teresa, you can think about this of a person that you know right now who walks into a room and you go, they got executive presence.
I do. And you listen, right? You tune in. You watch what they say just because they have it's whether it's executive aura, whether it's executive presence or it's an aura. There's something about them that people are drawn to them, and they want to listen, right? Yeah. They want to pay attention. They know something good is coming.
And I will say this, and research backs this up. A lot of people think this is natural. And there are natural prodigies in any walk of life. They're just prodigies. They're just born with it. But it can be learned. That's what's exciting. It's teachable, and you can learn it. Majority of the executives I admired, right? They taught me by saying things like watch me, Charlotte, when I walk into this room.
Yeah.
And then later they would say, so what did I do? Who did I talk to? Where in the room was I positioned?
Oh, right? Absolutely.
When folks came up to greet me, How long did I keep a conversation?
Yeah.
Another one. There may be people in the room you need to know, but you don't know. Do some research. Find out who's in the room that
Oh
perhaps
my
you
goodness,
need to be
yes.
introduced to, right?
Oh my
And
goodness,
then
yes.
and introduce yourself. And this is scary stuff. I'm telling you, I'm a Midwesterner too, right? The oldest of four girls. And I was taught that humility was, next to
Oh my
cleanliness,
goodness, yes.
Beg your pardon?
Oh my goodness, yes. Humility.
But it's strategic. And if you are really focused on being, I keep saying the word strategy. Strategy to me is a plan.
Yeah.
You have a plan.
And
So it may sound disingenuous, but it's not. Executive presence is not walking into a room and waiting for people to come to you. That's what you think charisma is. Executive presence is when you have the strategy, you have the style, you have the substance, you've worked on your character,
mhm.
and people want to be influenced with folks who have great character,
Correct.
solid substance,
You're right.
who have the right temperament. That's the influence. And then also, when you have executive presence, I think you have a responsibility to help people. It's not
Oh,
all about
amen.
you.
Amen.
It's
You know,
not all about you.
it's interesting because it's just that ability to help people. You have information, your mind's a mental Rolodex, right? There are ways that you can help and assist. Absolutely. I want to go back to something you said about the research.
Yes.
That's something that I've learned over the course of the last 12 years. If I'm walking into a room with people I don't know, LinkedIn is great for that, right? If you have a list of meeting attendees, you can easily go pop onto their LinkedIn profile. What college did you go to? Where are you from? What other cities might have you lived in? Do we have any mutual connections? Right? All of those things I think are great conversation starters that can make someone feel very much at ease very, very quickly. And having to learn that later in my career has been a blessing. I wish I would have learned it sooner, but then again, the LinkedIn algorithms are in my
Well, you learned it well because Teresa, you have awesome executive presence. I mean,
Thank you so much.
awesome executive presence.
But
And
it was learned, right? And I remember watching, coming right out of college and moving to Philadelphia and watching the women in this pharmaceutical company. What did they wear? Where did they eat lunch? What meetings were they going to? How they presented in meetings? How they prepared? Learned a lot by watching and observing, and then trying to kind of create my own style along the way.
your own style, your own presence. And actually, Teresa, this is something else, and you are awesome at this too. And
What?
I strive to this. You help people not only create goals with your
Yeah,
executive presence, and they trust that
we
you're
do.
listening and you help them. They may not know exactly where to go or what to do, but you have that presence. I've come to them when I leave, I'll get something more than what I had, right?
Yes,
Before I met them
yes,
or talked to them. And then these leaders help guide. They don't do it, they guide.
yeah,
And we had a lot of talk and a lot of workshops on mentorship, which is the guiding them to achieve their goals.
yes,
But the personal executive present actually influences in a way that they will actually follow the plan and
yes.
the goals, and they
So
they trust it.
I have something that happened this morning where I had a CIO that I was coaching, had breakfast with, and I think the world of him. And I kind of watched his career over the last 5, 6 years. And honestly, Charlotte, all I did was hold up a mirror and I reminded him of who he was, what he's capable of, and where he might be able to go. This was probably 3, 4 months ago. He called me today and he's accepted a new opportunity at a much
Oh,
larger company and a much more visible role. And I'm super excited for him. But I got to thank you, right? Because of that coaching, of that mentoring, of that mirror, if you will, of just telling someone, hey, you did a great job. I really appreciate the work that you do. You're a rock star. Know that you're a rock star. And I think as leaders, right, sometimes we don't, as much as we're influencing, it's so important for people to give us feedback in our network, right? And it changed him. I mean, it changed his world, and he'll be starting in the next few weeks. And so, thank you for that. I do appreciate it.
well, it's the truth. I think there are people, I know folks in the world who are very charismatic, and they are a joy to be around.
Yeah,
They're fun to be around. Um, but we're talking about leadership here
yeah,
and who people choose to follow. And I want to make sure we put that in that penumbra or that shadow of leadership. And dear, dear friends and family, so charismatic. Matter of fact, when I was in high school, of course, I wanted to be like the charismatic cheerleaders and the homecoming queens, and even the homecoming king was somebody who was very charismatic. But it's not. It's more about right who the people choose to be class president. It wasn't always the person who was
No,
on
no.
homecoming, although very charismatic. And it is once again, it's a temperament.
Yeah.
It is the competencies and the skills that you can learn because you have to, whatever you say you're going to bring, you have to bring it. The most fun I have though is its style. That means
Yeah.
that there's so many different styles of executive presence out there, and that should give people the freedom and the license to actually still be themselves within this structure of strategy and what we do. As you talked
Sure.
about LinkedIn, I really enjoy creating my own unique style, and that's something that's kind of happened throughout the years. That's one of the things I most enjoy from my students is they say, we never had a faculty member like you. And what we really like about you, and they talk about my style,
Yeah.
My passion,
Sure.
my humor. It's too warm today, but usually I have on all kinds of different color blazers.
Sure.
I have the business black pants, the white shirt, the whole 9 yards, the pearls and gold and all that. But then I come in with a purple blazer, a
Pearls.
red
Don't even
blazer.
get me started on pearls. Yes, yes. It's kind of the thing.
And the students really, really say, and I didn't even know this, but now that I know it, it's become a part of my style. And so they say they watch me come into class to just try to figure out, there's like a poll, what color is she wearing today? And and they know that's for my style.
Yeah.
Style can be what you wear. I mean, but it's in the construct of a business school. I still dress
Sure.
extremely professional. I want to be a role model. If you are a faculty member, if you are a leader, you're watched. Executive presence is knowing you have the presence and you know you're being observed. And this is good because you're going to use that observation once again to influence people, to help them,
Love
to
it.
teach them, to guide them, to mentor them, to advocate for them. That's the
Strong
executive
action
presence.
verbs. I love those action verbs.
Which ones?
Oh, the advocate, right? You're the mentoring, the steering, the guiding, the teaching, right? Those are all part of who we are or should be, right? As leaders.
Mm-hmm. And you said we all can do this.
We all can do it. Yeah, we all can do it. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Again, I think we could probably go on for a couple of hours and maybe next time we'll bring in some wine. I don't know. So the folks who are listening at home, this is Charlotte Westerhaus-Renfrow. Just an absolute blessing in my life. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're interested in learning more about Charlotte or having a conversation, please reach out to her on LinkedIn. For those of you that are interested in following Lightning Leadership, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Spotify, and check us out on YouTube. Like, subscribe, repost, share. Charlotte, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Teresa. It's always a joy being with you.
All right. Catch you later. Thanks, everyone.